Hi, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be telling y'all about the worst first date I've ever been on. Like, ever. So, to give a little bit of a backstory, this guy I met at a party. We're going to call him Alan, I guess. So, I met Alan at a party. It was about 2 years ago, 20, and he was 25 at the time. He was a friend of a friend. I actually never met him before, and yeah. So at this party, he came up to me, we started talking. He left and he was like, hey, can I get your number? And I was like, here, why don't you give me yours, and then you can just text me from my phone. And he was like, okay, cool. You've ever been to a party, you know, you meet people and then you kind of forget, I guess. Like, I don't want to say like I forgot about him, but I did kind of forget about him. Like, you know, he just kind of like left my mind, I guess. So so a week goes by or something like that, and he texts me. He's like, hey, and I say, hey, and whatever. So we start talking, and he's like, dang, you were never gonna text me? And I was like, sorry, kind of, you know, life got busy and I kind of forgot. Probably about 2 weeks we sit and we talk almost every single day, not like constantly, but like we at least had a conversation every single day for these 2 weeks. So after about 2 weeks, he's like, hey, I really want to take you out for dinner. And I was like, okay, well, I'm actually kind of busy, you know, for, you know, the next week. How about next Thursday? And he's like, okay, cool. So this week goes by and it's the Wednesday before the date. He's like, okay, well, you know, we're going on a date tomorrow. Where do you want to go? And I'm like, how about you just pick the place? I'm not picky as long as it's not seafood. He's like, cool, let's just go to Chili's. They have everything. It's a good common ground. And I was like, okay. Then he says, can I pick you up? Now, normally I don't give anybody my address. I am so weird about it. I don't like just giving out my address to people, especially like guys that I'm like trying to date, because you just never know. You don't know a person until you know a person, kind of thing. I kind of met him. I never heard anything bad about him. So I was like, sure. Okay. So I give him my apartment building number, like my just street address. I don't give him my number, my door number. And he's like, okay, I'll be there at 8:30 because I got off at 8. And I was like, cool, that works. So it's Thursday and I haven't heard from him all day, right? So about 4 o'clock, I send him a text message and I'm just like, you know, hey, what's up? And I don't hear anything from him. It's 7 and I'm like, okay, like this is weird. Like normally by this point I would have at least heard a response, or you know, I would have heard from him. So I send another text message and I'm like, hey, are we still going on our date tonight? And again, I don't get a response and I'm like, okay, what the hell? So it's now 8 o'clock and I'm off work. So I go home and I'm like, what do? Do I get ready or do I just like blow it off? Well, I figure, you know what, even if he doesn't show up, I'll just call a friend and we'll go out to dinner or something, you know? I figure not, you know, I'll just get dressed, everything. Maybe he's just gonna show up or something, you know? Maybe he'll call me then. I get ready, everything. Still haven't heard from him and I'm like, okay, what the freak is going on? It's about 8:15, 8:20, and I text him like, hey, what's up? No response. About 5 minutes later, he calls me, which is weird because we've never called each other, never talked on the phone. So I'm like, oh no, something's going on. He's ditching me. I don't know. And he's like, hey, I'm really sorry, but can you meet me at the restaurant? I'm having some car issues. And I'm like, sure, whatever. Now, I am a little peeved, not gonna lie. I was a little upset because obviously like he had offered to pick me up, and then if he had car problems, wouldn't if he had car problems like all day, you know? And also on the phone, he sounded so weird. Like, he sounded out of it. And I was like, oh, no. You know what? I'm already dressed. I was already planning on doing this anyways. Let me just go meet him. So I drive to the Chili's, which is about like 10 minutes from where I live. So I get to the Chili's and he's standing outside the building already. And I'm like, oh, cool. He's here. That works. And so when I walk up to him, I said, hey, you know, what's up? What happened to your car, you know? And he's like, man, it took you long enough to get here. I'm sorry, what? And you know, like, you can usually tell when someone's joking, you know, like, jokingly saying that. But he was, like, so dead serious. And, like, he looked so mad that I had just gotten there. Like, what did you expect? So I'm like, yeah, haha, okay, let's go inside. Go inside, and a little bit of wait or whatever, and I could tell there was going to be, because there was tons of people just kind of like sitting outside of the like restaurant and stuff. And so we go in and we talk to the host, and he says, oh, table for two. And she was like, okay, well, you know, it's probably gonna be about a 20 to 30 minute wait and blah blah blah. And he's like, well, that's not acceptable. And I'm like total mad, like, and he didn't go off, but he definitely was really rude to this host, and I felt so bad because I was like, oh my god. And I'm just kind of standing like, what did I get myself into? We go outside, and he was like, see, if you hadn't taken so long, maybe we would have already had a table. And I'm like, is this dude serious right now? Like, is he really serious? Is he seriously being rude to me right now? Dude, whatever, like, cool your jets. You need to calm down. What the okay, so I kind of just like back off, and I'm not really talking at this point. So then of course they call his last name, and we go inside and we sit down, and the waiter comes up and he says, hi, my name is blah blah blah, what can I get you out to drink? And so I say, oh, can I get a sweet tea with lemon? And he was like, oh, can I get a Dr. Pepper? And like the guy walked off just a little bit, and he was like, excuse me, sir. And I was like, oh my god. He was like, you didn't even ask us if we want appetizers. And he was like, well, what would you like to order? And he goes, actually, I need a minute to look at the menu. Hold up. Didn't you just look at the menu? Hold up. Didn't you just I was like, what is your problem? Like, so then the waiter walks off, and I was like, dude, what's your issue? Like, what the heck is going on? You're being so rude. And he's like, I'm not being rude, or something like that. And I was just like, oh no. Now mind you, I also haven't told Joe what he looked like. So what he's wearing, he is literally wearing these like totally like beat up Converse. Like Converse, yeah, like they can look good, but like these are like beat up Converse that like look like they've been drugged through dirt. He's wearing these pants that like are literally so big and baggy on him that he's literally like sagging, but like his shirt was long enough that you couldn't tell that he was sagging, but literally so big. And like I don't even know how they stood, like they were on his body, and they were like super wrinkly. Oh god. And his shirt, and it was so bad because like I didn't notice it at first, but when we sat down I noticed his shirt had like a giant hole in it. Like, who wears this on a date? And he had kind of like, not long hair, but it was shaggy, and it looked dirty and greasy, and he just looked like a hot mess. Like he literally looked as if he was like going to like play baseball or something. I don't even know what she would do to like look like that. Go mudding maybe? I don't know, but he looked insane. I try and start a conversation, like, cause we've been texting for 3 weeks now, you know, pretty regularly. So it's not hard to have a conversation with him. He is not having it. He's literally sitting on his phone the entire time. We get our appetizers, our drinks. He's still rude to the waiter, mind you. And I am peeved. I am so upset because like he literally is not responding to me. He is being incredibly rude to every waiter that's coming up to our table. He is just being rude in general, and like to an extent that like it's not like he's in a bad mood. Like this is just who he is, I guess. So the waiter comes up and like he's like, oh, like, can I get you anything else? And he goes, oh no, but our checks are actually going to be separate. What? I was like, oh my god, did this guy really just say this? And I was like, holy freaking crap, what in the world is this guy thinking? Like, I get it, like if you want to date, like it's not, you know, like you don't need to pay for it for each other, you know, you can just pay for yourself, and I'm totally cool with that usually. But like if you ask someone out on a date, you should pay. And I don't know, maybe this is Southern hospitality, maybe this is me being from Texas and I think like this, I don't really know. But every date I've ever been on, and like a guy asks me on a date, especially first dates, the guy pays. Or yeah. And I mean, like, I've asked guys on dates and I've paid because that's the proper thing to do. And I'm just like, oh god. So we go on. I'm like, what the hell? And so the waiter kind of like looks at me like, are you really with them? And I'm just like shaking my head and I'm pissed. It wasn't like I couldn't afford to pay for my dinner. I could afford it. It wasn't a big deal. But like, why are we on a date? Date. Like, let me quotation that word, date, because it really wasn't a date. It was like, I know what it was. Checks, and it was so funny because my waiter, he gave me like a really big discount, and he wrote on there like, sorry you're on such a sucky date. And I just laughed because I think my meal was like $5. Anyways, the waiter was so nice to me. I think he realized that I wasn't necessarily with this guy. Our bills, and we go outside, and I'm like, okay, you know, have a good night. And I like go to walk off, and he was like, oh, I don't get a hug or something. And I was like, you want me to hug you? And I'm peeved, so of course I'm not gonna bite my tongue anymore now we're outside. I'm like, I'm not hugging you, you know? And he was like, but we just went on a date. You know, usually you like give a hug and a kiss. And I'm like, you want me to kiss you after you were just incredibly rude in there? He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, yeah, you do. And so like I started walking. He was like, hey, and so I turned around, I'm like, what? And he goes, do you mind giving me a ride home? A ride home? You want me to give you a ride home after I just paid for my own dinner? No. So I looked at him and I said, no. I was like, no, I'm not giving you a ride home. No, I'm sorry. No apology. No, like, sorry, like, I'll help you get a ride. I was like, no, I'm not giving you a ride. Have a good night. And I got in my car and I left. About a week later, I get a text message from this guy. He's like, I'm sorry for that date. It was really sucky. I was just in a really bad mood. Blah, 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 blah. But like, I'm kind of the person like, once I have a bad taste in my mouth, I don't go back. So I was like, you know what? Even if you had a bad night, that wasn't cool. And I'm honestly not that interested anymore. And so then he goes and he tells our mutual friend that I'm just this horrible person, that our date was awful, that I wouldn't even give him a kiss. But he fails to mention that he was a complete a-hole to all these people the entire time. He said like 5 words to me like that weren't actually rude, and they were like, yeah, okay, sure, fine. I'm speechless. Like, who do you think you are? Oh, I can't deal. But yeah, so there's my worst first date story. I haven't ever had a date like that again though, I gotta say. Most of my dates are actually pretty nice. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, hit the red subscribe button, you know, to know when I upload videos. Anyways, I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.